All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a special session of the Public Works Committee, where today we will be hearing appeals of the street lighting operations special charge. All trustees are accounted for. We have presenter Rebecca Ewald, the village manager, will sort of present this topic, and then we will get into each appeal. There is an order that we have that we will go in. And if you are here to speak on that particular property, we will ask you to come up, state your name and your address, and reaffirm the property that you're appealing charges on. All right. So Rebecca, would you like to start?
Actually, I'm going to turn it to Attorney Bayer.
Good afternoon. So, as you know, this is the first ever appeal hearings for Shorewood Streetlight Operations Special Charge. So I thought it would be good to start with an overview of how the process will work, some of the language you might have seen in the ordinance, and how does this play out? What are we doing here today, and what will the committee be looking for? So I think a little bit of historical background. So in 2024, the Village of Shorewood, the board instituted this streetlight operations special charge to first be assessed in 2025. So the purpose was to assess owners of any property that abuts a street portion or a portion of the village's cost to provide the streetlight services to those properties. So the amount to be charged is determined based upon each property's lineal feet of street frontage. So for properties with multiple street frontages, only the street on which the property is addressed was used to calculate the charge. Some of you might have friends or neighbors that live in Whitefish Bay, for example. They especially assess when they do streets. So if you if you live on a corner, you have the unfortunate additional Christmas present of having to pay for both sides. So Shorewood decided not to do that. They looked at properties with multiple frontages, for example, ones on corners, and said, we're just going to assess on one side, not both. So the ordinance contains the appeal process language. It says, whenever any streetlight operation special charge is imposed in accordance with this section, and the person required to pay the charge feels aggrieved as a result of the imposition of collection of the charge, that aggrieved person shall pay the charge, and then basically you do it under protest, and then you come here. It says the village, they'll come before the Village of Shorewood Public Works Committee, a complaint to the effect that the person is aggrieved by the imposition of the charge, and his or her specific reasons for the objection are to be heard, and the amount of the overcharge complained of. So the process for the appeal essentially will be well, actually, before we get to that, I want to read a little bit of what it means to be fair and reasonable. Because the other part of the code, it says, if upon review by the Public Works Committee, it's determined that all or any part of the street lighting cost recovery special charge paid under protest is not just or reasonable, the finance director shall institute the necessary procedures for a refund. So what does that mean? That begs a question, exactly what is just and reasonable mean? So it's the common, it's generally the common understanding and use of those terms. And just and reasonable is a standard that's commonly used around the state in different administrative appeal proceedings. So it's a very known standard. So the Black's Law Dictionary of just is to or consonant with what is legal or lawful, legally right or lawful. Black's Law Dictionary defines reasonable as follows: fair, proper, just, moderate, suitable under the circumstances, fit and appropriate to the end in view, having the faculty of reason, rational, governed by reason, and under the influence of reason, agreeable to reason, thinking, speaking, or acting according to the dictates of reason. Not moderate or excessive, but synonymous with rational, honest, equitable, fair, suitable, moderate, tolerable. So those are the definitions. To ensure that due process is afforded to everyone that's assessed the charge, uniformity and proper application of the charge is this committee's focus. So the purpose of the appeal process, I want to make this clear, is correction of errors in how the charge was assessed. It is not the task of the committee to evaluate the underlying policy created by the passage of the ordinance imposing the charge. So in other words, the question today is not whether, in general, people might feel like it's just or reasonable to pay for streetlights through this process as opposed to the manner in which it could have been done under the general tax revenue. That's not the focus today. It's also not the task of the PWC to evaluate whether the manner in which the charge is calculated is generally just or reasonable. Those are questions that have been set by policy by the village board. The question is whether the process created by the ordinance was justly and reasonably followed and applied to the individual appellant. What we're concerned with is uniformity and fairness in how we apply it. Somebody came in, just to use some concrete examples, someone came in and said, hey, there's an error here. My square footage is listed at 320 feet, not 230 feet. Somebody transposed the numbers. Obviously, that's not just or reasonable, and it should be adjusted accordingly. There also could be an error. Perhaps somebody made a mistake when they imposed the charge based upon the square footage, and the charge is listed higher than it should be. Obviously, that's an error correction that we can address here. So each appellant will be asked to state their case as to why they believe the charge was not assessed to them in a just and reasonable fashion. The committee members can ask follow-up questions and then discuss. And then a vote will be taken to either affirm the charge as it is or amend it to a different amount. So again, the focus generally today is error correction, not the question of the underlying policy decision of why the charge exists and, I shouldn't have to pay it. I don't want to pay it. It's generally that whether it was just and reasonably and uniformly applied to the property. So that should be the focus of any of the testimony that's given, should be the focus of the arguments, and should be the focus of the evidence that's considered by the body. So I'm going to turn it over to the chair. And then for each of the individuals that are going to be approaching, generally, this is how the process will work. We'll have you give your name, tell us what property you own. If you have an attorney representing, you have them identify themselves. Tell us about the property they're appealing the charge on. Ask you to affirm that you are the owner of the property. It state on the record what the charge is, and then you tell us what you believe the charge should be. Explain why you don't think it's just and reasonable, and then the PWC committee here will discuss it. They might have follow-up questions, and then they'll either take a vote to affirm the streetlight operation special charge as originally set, or to amend the streetlight operation special charge to a different amount based upon the arguments that have been laid out. So I'm going to turn it over to the chair.
Thank you, Attorney Bear. Really appreciate all that context and information. Before we start on our first property, I'd like to open up the floor to any of the trustees that may have questions for Attorney Bear or Manager Ewald before we start.
I have no questions.
No questions.
I just have one comment to offer. Appellants were, permitted to come to the meeting or attend virtually. So as you call each address, let's just verify whether there is someone here either in person or virtually. Appeals did not require attendance at this meeting. So if there is not someone, we'll note that and then proceed with the discussion of that particular property.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right, if there are no further questions or comments, we will get started. Our first property is a corner lot, 904 East Glendale. Is the owner present for 904 East Glendale, in person or online?
I'm here online.
Fantastic. Would you please state your name, sir?
Robin Creer.
All right, and could you reaffirm the property that you are appealing charges on?
904 East Glendale Avenue.
Fantastic. Okay, so what is your current charge right now? What are you being charged for your lot?
I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers up in front of me. I'm just started a new job, so I didn't have time to prep for this. But I am a corner lot, and I can just say it is significantly higher than properties around me that have the exact same acreage as mine. And that is because my front door faces south along the lengthiest part of the property, as opposed to most of them, which front door faces the most narrow part. And so it was in my impression that I would be talking about why it was that these types of properties who had their doors built on one side of the house and not other would be why that methodology is being applied so differently depending on how a house is constructed.
All right, thank you for that context. Just looking at the numbers here, you are being charged for 132 feet of linear space at $588.72. And your shortest linear frontage is 40 feet at $178.40. Just want to make sure that that's put into the record. Trustees, do you have any questions, comments, thoughts on this particular property?
I know the appellants were asked to present any information that they have towards this not being fair charge.
No, I'm sorry. I was under the impression that this meeting would be an opportunity to plead the case of corner lot owners like mine who have a disproportionately sized amount of linear footage being considered. Because my property is very basic and I'm paying as much as mansions. And I was told that this would be the forum to ask why that is. I have never, until I caught word of this, I had no idea this was the methodology until I was made aware of the online tool. So I thought this was the forum to have a conversation about that. I just heard the pretext before the meeting started. It doesn't sound like this is what we're going to be discussing at all. So as far as the charge goes, I have nothing. Like, for all I know, that math is absolutely correct based on the methodology. I'm wondering, where is the opportunity to talk to someone about corner lots being subjected to this methodology when it seems like I'm paying like a crazy amount more than people who own mansions, much less neighbors with properties the same size as mine.
Thank you, sir. Attorney Bear here has a statement.
Sure. I do think that if there is a unique characteristic, geographic characteristic associated with an individual lot that is not consistent with, or uniform with other lots in the neighborhood, I certainly think you can address that. I'll give you a hypothetical example. Let's say you had a triangular lot with one side, much, much larger than the other. And it was the only lot like that, in the entire geographic area. And the charge was significantly larger because of a unique factor with, say it was on a dead end street and you had a triangle lot and it was the only one like that in the area. And as a result of that, the charge imposed on that specific lot was not consistent with or uniform with the other properties in the neighboring area. I certainly think you could certainly bring that. I will give another example, hypothetical example, not a concrete example. Let's say that I know that there are some properties in the North Shore area. I'll use an example that I know of in Whitefish Bay, so it's not a Shorewood example, but the front entrance of the house actually now faces an alley because when the house was constructed, the block was not extended that far. And the front door essentially is on the alley, and then the side lot is actually facing the street. So there might be an argument that this is a unique situation. So I think if, you know, if there's something unusual about a particular lot that makes it, makes the charge there significantly different than the other likely situated properties, then I think it's fair to point that out, and I think you can make your case. But again, you know, the focus is of course, uniformity and fairness. While the main focus is indeed error correction, you could have uniquely situated property with unique geographic features that, and you're more than free to plead your case.
I just pulled up the appeals letter that I sent that has the specifics of the numbers and my particular lots building the door on the longest part of the property line. Is that relevant and necessary? I could reiterate those points if they're not already on file.
You know, I honestly, I think we sort of see we get the picture here. I guess you being the first, this begs the question based off of what Attorney Bear has said. You know, for most of these, we're going to be in a similar situation where we're looking at our current charge of address side versus the shortest side of the house. Would love to talk, you know, through it with the board right now to see what the appetite is to examine what that would look like, you know, having the shortest, you know, looking at the shortest side and charging that as well. I also want to reiterate something that's very important that Nathan said. When we originally talked about this streetlight charge, all corner lots were going to be charged for both sides. And we decided that wasn't fair, and we decided on the address side. You know, and, you know, so be it that it didn't work, you know, obviously there's some, you know, inequities for sure in this village, but at one point it was going to be both streets, which would have been even more inequitable. So
could I just make real quick, could I just make the points that I would like salient as the discussion happens, and I'll be very quick about it.
Yep.
It's just that I'm going to be paying over $588, comparable to my neighbors with the exact same size. That'll be a 238% increase over what they will pay. And over 20 years, this will be a difference of at least $8,300. And this will be more than certain 1.5 acre compounds on Lake Drive and numerous commercial properties. And so I just wanted the scope of that difference to be front of mind as the discussion takes place.
Thank you. That's noted.
Could I ask a clarifying question just of the applicant? It didn't.
Yes.
Because I think there was important something that you pointed out. I'm not sure the applicant is asking that the shorter distance be used, but in amount comparable to the other properties along the street that only have front facing lots. Is that right?
No, I would just rather have the same side as everyone else be evaluated, which will be the exact same that they're paying. So it's one and the same, whether.
I think you guys are, from what I understand, you're both on the same page.
Yeah.
Comparable
Just
to
saying
his
it
neighbors.
differently.
Yep.
Which the shortest side, I would assume we don't have all that information in front of us, but if you were to look at the GIS mapping tool, I would assume that most of those are between 40 and 44 feet. So that shortest size would be comparable to probably what your neighbors are paying.
Right.
Trustee Kudo?
No, I mean, I think going back to, I think you were going here, regarding appetite for adjustment. You know, I mean, when we were doing this, we tried very hard to not sort of way over our opinion. In my opinion, like this straight up corner lots you get.
Yep.
And we tried to find a uniform way to charge everyone equitably. Turns out, unfortunately, in my opinion, the folks that have addresses that are, you know, they're comparable property sizes, comparable parcel sizes, you know, they're they're not getting any special treatment for that, but they are being charged. You know, in this instance, you know, the shortest distance would be 40 feet at $179 versus, you know, 132 feet at almost $600. It doesn't pass the fair test for me. There has to be a better way. You know, I wonder, is that the shortest? If it's the, you know, if we do the shortest side for the property, does that, you know, one question I would have for Attorney Bayer is, how does that affect, or does it affect commercial properties? So these are, you know, these are all residential. But if, you know, if we change it, and some of this is the fiscal question, if we change it, what kind of fiscal differences are we looking at for some of our larger commercial properties? Do we have to do it uniform, commercial, and residential? Or, you know, where are the options?
That's a great question. So with a special charge, with the streetlight operation special charge, there has to be a relationship between what is charged and the cost to provide a particular service, in other words, streetlights, to that property. So, you know, what was discussed, and I talked to a number of people at Milwaukee when they were sort of the pioneers in this and first passed it. And, you know, everything was on the table. You know, originally it was, can we charge, you know, can we just have a uniform charge for commercial that's, you know, X amount of thousands of dollars and a different amount for residential, regardless of the differences in the size and the frontage? And the answer was no, because then it's not a special charge, because it no longer has a rational relationship. So what they did, and what most communities have followed, is said, okay, well, if you're on, we start with the premise that if you're on a street that does not have streetlights, you don't get the charge because you're not, you know, you don't have any benefit. If you're on a street with streetlights, how do you determine that? So you set a square footage. And again, sort of the counter problem to this is, if you went across and uniformly said, for any property that is on a corner, we're going to take the shorter of the two, then what you run into is you have other properties then who are essentially subsidizing the corner lots, who are paying, who in some cases would pay less. And then it could ultimately impact the square footage amount and what other properties are being burdened and carrying. We looked at Prairie du Sac and a couple other communities that have done it, and they have an equation that they use that looks like something out of a third year college algebra class, with a P over F divided by Q and a if this, then that. And I still don't understand how it worked. I've looked through it. But the general consensus, and the people that I talked to in Milwaukee, was the most direct, straightforward, fair way to do this is to look at square footage of frontage of the street that is serviced by streetlights. And that's defensible. That's, you know, that has a relationship to what the actual cost is. And so when we looked at that, you know, certainly the board did not want to burden property owners on a corner like they would be burdened. I don't want to use, you know, Whitefish Bay as the whipping boy here or whatever, but
That's okay with
you know, that, you know, when they assess for streets on both sides. So if you live on a corner, like I said, you get the, you know, Christmas present of paying for the street on both sides and the sidewalks and all that other good stuff. But, so we didn't want to do that here. And so, you know, is there a way that you can do this to make them all come out the same? No, because no matter what you do, there's going to be winners and losers, and there's going to be someone subsidizing somebody else. I mean, if you really look at it in a technical sense, those that live on not a corner lot, that just have street frontage, are to an extent already subsidizing at least a little bit corner lots who aren't getting charged for both sides. So there's winners and losers. There's, you know, there's no absolutely perfect way to do it. Are there going to be some corner lots that have a significant amount of more frontage than other lots on the block? Yes, there are, obviously. Is that hard to swallow? No doubt. I'm paying this myself. I live in Shorewood. You know, I understand the pain. And you know, and so is there a perfect way to do it? There is not. But again, you know, anytime you move the goalpost there and change the way you calculate it, it's going to affect what somebody else is paying and it goes on down the line. But again, on a, you know, on one level, what seemed to be the most equitable, because again, most of the lots, you know, a lot of the lots there in the corner, if you look at the square footage on the address side, they're generally speaking relatively in line with what else is on the block. At least that's consistent in my neighborhood. Every time I walk the dog, I pay attention to this and I'm mentally taking inventory. But there's not all of them are. And this is an example, you know, hey, this is a house where it's much longer on the address side than the corner side. There's no doubt about that. But again, if you flip it to the side and you charge for only 40 feet, then who's picking up the difference for the rest? So there is no perfect.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the counter to that would be, you know, 100 residents
Mhm.
paying quite a bit more, or 12,000 residents, 13,000 paying a little.
That's a,
Right.
that's a,
And
fair-
so-
yeah.
For me, I mean, when we're talking fair, equitable, in my mind, it makes more sense for all of us. I don't live on a, but in my mind, it makes more sense for me to pay a little bit more for a regular, not regular lot, but a traditional lot, than having someone that lives on a corner paying 3 times as much. That's,
I
I don't need applause. It's okay.
I get it. Thank you. I just want to
It's
remind.
just the point counterpoint I was trying to make.
I just want to remind the audience, this is the first one. This is a very serious and, you know, topic that we're discussing here. And something that will sort of have ramifications throughout the rest of the homes here. So once we get through this conversation, it's going to start to go a lot faster. So
Yeah.
it's very important that we listen to our attorney here. This is a very serious situation. And, you know, I'm taking it very seriously. So, you know, sorry, Trustee Cotto, do you have more to add to that?
I'm wrapped.
Could I ask one just follow up? Because I'm looking at the slide. And it has the distances of the both sides. Is the request from the appellant that it be changed to the 40-foot distance on the
Yes,
side?
I'm assuming
it?
so.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
Or, because I thought I heard him asking that it be essentially comparable to the other street side non-corner.
No, I think
properties on that
it's
street.
what his neighbors, his
Okay.
non-corner lot neighbors are. And I would say this, that I, you know, I'm in your camp too, 100% in your camp. But one thing I didn't necessarily think about, because we do have some really unique properties within this list, if we go shortest distance versus if we go sort of average of what your neighbor is paying, right? I mean, is there a way that we can, because there's some folks, and they might be here tonight, that have like a massive address side, but yet they have like a 20-foot shortest side. So I want to make sure that, you know, and that seems unequitable for them to pay the shortest side. So is there a way we can say, if all of your neighbors on that block have 40 to 44 feet, can we just charge the 40 to 44 feet for the corner lots?
I guess my question would be, is the 40-foot listed on slide 5, is that the actual distance of the side of the lot, or is that
That's
the
the
average of the?
Estimated based
Okay.
upon a GIS takeoff. So any shortage distance would need to be re-verified by GIS. This was just done taking the linear calculation from the ruler in that software.
Okay, because, so we really
It's an
don't,
estimate.
okay, so we really don't know what the average frontage is or non-corner lots on that street, right?
Correct.
Okay, because I think that, you know, look, the important thing is that the rule, or that the exception not swallow the rule. But if you have a unique lot in a particular geographic area that are isolated and, you know, again, not so common that they, you know, that they essentially swallow the rule, you know, I think you can look at the equitable nature of that, and you can look at the question of whether it's fair and reasonable. But again, if, you know, that's every single block, then I think then you're talking about a policy question for the board as to how the charge is calculated on a larger scale and amending the ordinance for 2026. But again, if you have, you know, these are very unique lots. There's only 2 or 3 of them in the entire village. And, you know, and you can justify that and it's not swallowing the rule. I think that, you know, you could say, well, okay, there's 20 other houses within a 2-block radius of that. All of the ones that are not on the corner, the average is 98 feet rather than 132 or 78 feet or whatever it is. Then I think you have justification to make, you know, but to potentially justify making a change. But just to say, well, that seems too high and we're going to take the shorter distance on the side of the lot is probably not a uniform, equitable distribution of changing it. So I hope that helps.
I just got a question.
Yeah.
As long as we're on that topic, like if we sort of came up with a way to sort of equalize some of these really extreme cases, we'd still be within the confines of the law that requires us to have a
And I
know,
opened it up
service provided.
So again, I think,
because they said to
copy
click,
of those, how
you
many-
know, if you don't want your audio
so
recorded,
the question would be, if this,
and a lot of these names, they have their audio closed.
Yeah, and your computer audio.
Can you please mute everybody? Thank you for those that are online. If you could mute, that'd be great. Thank you.
so let me give you a specific example. If there was 4 or 5 of these, and you could say that these are so unique that, based upon where they are in the village, the way the streets are laid out, this is an unusual, unique situation that is not repeatable on other blocks and other lots. It's based upon the way that the village was originally set out. And I can point to a very, very, very nominal amount of these. So there's an adverse impact on property owners in this situation, and there's a finite amount. There's only a few. Then I think you have a reasonable argument that to make an amendment to make it just and equitable. If every single block were like this, then I think you've got a situation where the larger question is that's left to the village board to decide, do we want to amend the ordinance to charge on the side lot or the front of the lot on the side that it's addressed? So I think, again, and this is the same problem that comes up when we grant variances before the Board of Appeals. And they always ask me, how much is too much before the exception swallows the rule? And there's no hard and fast rule I can give them, but it comes up almost all the time is, you know, you don't want, you want to make a record that there's something unique about the property. And that it's, that this isn't, you know, essentially now going to be applied. It should have been applied to, you know, 200 of the, you know, of the same properties within a 1 mile radius. Well, actually, we're only 1.5 mile radius. So, you know, I think that's the question, you know, how unique is the property? And when we hear Board of Appeals requests for variances, that's actually one of the criteria is they have to show that there's something unique about the property that justifies, you know, treating it differently and granting the variance because it would be impractical to otherwise follow it. So the argument here is, look, there's a unique geographic feature of this property that makes it wider than even some of the larger properties on Lake Drive. And it's out of whack in comparison with the other non-corner lots on that street.
Yep.
Is that a fair
Yeah,
representation?
I think we're on the same page here. I think we get it. So with all of this being taken accounted for, are you guys, would somebody like to make a motion? Do you feel a certain way for this particular property? The shortest side is going to be 40 feet. Do we have an appetite to go to the shortest side for this particular property? Do we want to look at another model like block average?
So I think that if we were to change the model, that would be something we'd have to go back to the board. I mean, this is just an appeal.
Yeah.
Not just an, Isn't appeal. And so handling this property individually, I would feel comfortable. And I'm happy to make a motion charging the shortest distance, 40 feet, which is $178. And then take the rest of these. Generally speaking, that's going to be my position. Most, if not all of these corner.
Great. Trustee McGovern.
Okay, I move to, and I will probably get the verbiage wrong.
I would suggest using
There's a-
the shortest distance, just because the shortest
Sure,
distance
yeah, yeah.
reference in the slide is just an estimate, so we
Okay.
need to get that final.
I move for property 904 East Glendale to utilize the shortest distance for the purposes of determining street light charges.
All those in favor
Does that work?
or second?
Does that work?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Does that? I
Yeah.
just literally made that up. So does that work for,
I think that,
Was
I
a-
think that
legal
works.
eagle over there?
Yep, that
Okay.
works for me.
all right,
Attorney Barrett, does that work for you?
So I think the directive then is for the finance department to go back and recalculate the charge based upon the alternative um,
Distance.
side of the lot that
Yep.
faces the other street.
Yep.
What, just for the record, what is, could someone tell us the name of the side street?
904.
Sheffield.
What is it?
Sheffield.
Okay,
Sheffield.
so the directive is for the finance department to calculate or to recalculate the special streetlight operation special charge based upon the square footage on the Sheffield side of the
Oh,
property.
sorry, Woodruff. Woodruff is the street, not Sheffield. My bad. Woodruff.
he just moved there. It's an okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Do I need to remake the motion? Or are we good?
I think we've got it in the record, so. And it'll be in the minutes.
Because the next one is definitely.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are now moving along to a corner lot 1007 East Kensington Boulevard. Would the owner of that property please step up to the mic or unmute themselves online? Give it a second here. So we are looking at 1007 East Kensington Boulevard. That person is online. Please unmute yourself.
I'm happy to make a motion to.
All right, let's just take a look for the record.
Yep.
We'll just announce the current charge for this corner lot is 120 feet at $535.20. The shortest distance linear footage is 55 feet at $243.30. If you'd like to make a motion.
Sure. I moved the direct to finance department to use the shortest distance, which would be Sheffield Avenue, to determine the streetlight special assessment for property at 1007 East Kensington Boulevard.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving along to corner lot number 1020 East Glendale. Fantastic. Come on. If you could come
Gotta
up to the
come to the
microphone,
mic.
please.
So I just like to
State your
begin,
name and your address.
Katie Now, 1020 East Glendale Avenue,
Thank you.
corner of Glendale and Marlboro, will be relevant. I just want to start by noting on the record, I just went back to my email and the letter I sent, and my initial communications were certainly about the unjust and unreasonable charge on my own lot, but I also very clearly expressed that my concern was not for my lot alone, but for how this was assessed. And it was clearly communicated, again, I have these emails open from Ms. Ewald, that this was the meeting at which that could be addressed. I understand from the attorney that that is not the case, but I just want to state on the record that I do think this is bigger than a person by person issue. I happen to know I've sold both of the houses that came up before here. 1007 Glendale, this is a young couple with young kids. They're both working. A meeting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for them to come and argue this seems completely unreasonable. I think it's something that needs to be considered on a village-wide approach, policy, I suppose. So for mine, I'm at 1020 East Glendale, and I happen to own the lot kitty corner to this as well, a duplex. That property is valued at higher than mine. The lot size is exactly the same, and the difference is significantly different, which makes no sense at all. Annually for Glendale, I'm paying $589. For my other property, which has an address on Marlboro, but is also a corner lot, it's $173.94. Again, this is annually, which is a humongous difference. And to be completely honest, all of my neighbors walk on both sides of those properties. Those streetlights are not benefiting me any more than they are somebody who is not on a corner lot. So the argument that it has to do with benefit of street frontage holds no weight for me. That doesn't make sense at all. So I'd like to ask that mine and all corner properties in Shorewood be assessed based on the shorter of the sides.
We're here to look at each individual property, so this is what we're tasked to do today. Trustees, do you have any questions for Ms. Now?
Nope.
Do we have a motion?
Go back in my notes. I apologize.
Slide 7.
No, I just
Gotcha.
get cross streets. I would move to direct the finance department to use Marlboro, which is the shorter of the two sides of property located at 1020 East Glendale.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
May I ask when the opportunity to address policy is?
Trustee or Village Manager Ewald.
The board has been advised that it's up to them to bring it as a matter of future item of consideration at a board meeting and to be voted upon by the group if they
Okay.
choose to reevaluate it.
And
But we are looking at it in
we
the
have it
budget
from
as well.
May, and now we're in September. And is there something that could have been happening during these months? I mean, I owe $1,000 to the village right now for water bills, for one set of bills. I have
Okay.
$1,000 worth of bills sitting on my desk, and I paid almost that amount 3 months ago.
We
That's out of scope for why we're here today, but happy to
I'm
connect
sorry, you
with.
interrupted, Ms. Ewald. May I hear what you were going to say, Ms. Ewald?
It was a matter of scheduling
Okay.
to convene the committee.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Go ahead.
My piece.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is corner lot 1300 East Lawnwood Place. Is the owner of that property here in attendance or online? Again, we are looking at the corner lot 1300 East Lawnwood Place. If you're online, you can unmute yourself. All right, so this particular property is currently being charged for 142 feet of linear frontage or footage and at a rate of $633.32. Based on the shortest distance of this property, it would be 50 feet and $233. Trustees, do we have any questions about this particular property or a motion?
I'm happy to make a motion.
Yes,
I'll
I'll make a motion.
Matt.
I move to direct the finance department to assess the streetlight charge based on the 50-foot side of the property or the lot at 1300 East Lawnwood Place.
I think you've got to throw Ardmore, just so they know.
Okay. I move to direct the finance department to assess the lot at 1300 Lawnwood Place, assess the streetlight charge based on the Ardmore Street side, which is the 50-foot side.
I will second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we have corner lot 1555 East Olive Street. If the resident is in attendance, please step up to the microphone or else unmute yourself. Please step up to the microphone. If you could state your name and reaffirm your address, that would be fantastic.
Do you know you people are making this more expensive for us in that nobody's gonna be able to sell their house to somebody that wants to buy a house and then absorb this lovely extra. And I have something to say about my corner lot. It appears that my son was looking at up the plot. And apparently some years ago, which we were not aware of, a next door neighbor ended up planting all kinds of bushes and made his lot a little bigger because he took part of ours. Just found that out about a week ago. And I'd like to know what the streetlights have to do with this. Is this part of it?
If I could just have you, before we get into that, state your name and your address, please. For
I'm
the re-
sorry,
If you could just state your name and address for the record, that'd be
Elaine
fantastic.
Reynolds, 1555 East Olive Street.
Thank you. And Manager Ewald or Attorney Bear, if you want to just reiterate why we are charging this fee, or how we came about charging this fee as opposed to rolling it into the tax roll. Is that the question you'd like to know?
Yeah, I mean, it was really a policy decision of the board.
Could you speak up?
Sure.
I
Oh, there we
really
go.
have.
Hello? Oh, there it's on. Yeah, I think, it was really a policy decision of the board. And, you may want to talk to some of the state representatives about levy limits and other constraints on local spending and how that impacts what we're seeing really across the board in the state of Wisconsin and many municipalities, being forced to institute, additional fees as opposed to assessing through the regular tax roll, especially as the sort of aid from the state dries up while they're sitting on a ton of surplus money that's sitting there that they haven't shared with local municipalities. It's just been a very difficult, put local municipalities in a very difficult place. And when faced with, having to replace some infrastructure for new streetlights and, significant costs, this was really the reality, I think, that unfortunately the board was faced with. And, I think it raises a larger question of levy limits and state aid and all of those wrapped together. I know that the board had robust discussions of that when it reluctantly, decided to create new charges and new fees across the board. So it's certainly not a unique problem to Shorewood, that's for sure.
Thank you, Nathan. So I think we can all agree that the infrastructure of our street lighting has been failing for the past decade, leaving many of our neighborhoods in darkness, and that is not a safe or productive thing for us as a board to continue on. And we made the decision about a year ago to move forward and replace our street lighting here in Shorewood. That was almost a half century old. So if not much older than that. But so we're here today because we have been doing a lot of infrastructure projects in the community that are needed, definitely needed. And I understand that it's a pretty hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. But we are tasked with making sure that this village is operating to its best of its ability. And we have been kicking the can down the road for decades and decades and decades. And just now we have made the decision to make sure that we make these improvements in our infrastructure, so our houses don't flood, so people can walk safely at night. And this is where we're at. And we're all residents too. We all have to pay these same fees and the same taxes. It's not unique to anybody here. We're all in this together.
Oh, sure. I'm sure about. What do you guys think?
I am a resident. I pay the same taxes as you guys and pay the same fees
May I
as you guys.
mention one or two other things? Owners of our home may or may not have known about some of the problems. We have leakage by the fireplace, and we just put a new roof on the house, and you think that that's gonna stop it. Now we've got mold and mildew, and we can't even live in the house. And my son thinks it's gonna cost between $26,000 and $36,000 to do whatever we have to do. And he says, I can't afford that house. I'm pretty much paying rent on my own house. It's close to $1,000 per month. And I know rent's gone up a lot more than $1,000. But it kind of burns my bippy, whatever that means.
Well,
And I think it's a little fairer. I would be semi-happy to pay something if everyone else is. I did speak to somebody up in Appleton. She was working for the company that was appraising our homes. And I seem to remember that I asked if some things like this were happening up there. And they said, well, they decided that was unfair to put it on a few homeowners. What do you think about that? Do you think it's unfair?
I'm happy to jump in. So
Anybody?
no, I totally understand. And what I would say is this isn't just on a few homeowners. So this streetlight charge is on all of us. I'm paying it. Everyone that lives in the village is paying it. It's not just particular addresses. What we're trying to do here today is look at particular addresses that are corner lots or maybe have a curved lot, or there might be something unique about the address that has led to a much higher charge for streetlights as opposed to any other lot, right? And so,
No, not right.
no, that is right. That's what's happening.
We have our own opinions. Go ahead.
Okay, you're entitled to yours. So what we're trying to do today is figure out what is the most equitable way to assess and charge these lots uniformly. And that's how we have found ourselves now looking at the shortest side. So for your lot on Morris and Olive, or Olive and Morris, there's one side that is 149 feet. There's another side that's 25 feet. So using what we've gone through for the last few lots, what we would be looking at is instead of the $664 in assessed fees for the streetlights for your property, it would then become $111. That's where we're at. So
annually.
I'm happy to make a motion, unless you're certainly
Well,
welcome to say whatever, but I'm
gonna-
happy to make a motion.
This is one of those sort of interesting lots. There's only a handful of them in
Yep.
this package. So this could be assessed at the shortest distance, or this could be assessed at, like the 40 foot, because the 40 feet is basically the shortest that we're seeing in all of Shorewood. So we could either go 40 feet or we could go 25 feet. I don't know. Do you guys have any appetite there? I mean, what happens at this point is that, do you have one way or the other that you guys would see fit going in this direction? Shortest, or, because there's two properties like this. One goes down to 20 feet, I think.
Yeah, 25 feet. Yeah.
There's another one in here that goes down pretty low too.
I mean, again, this is, we can either charge shortest, which would be a uniform charge, which is what we've done for the first four, or we can try to pick out and come up with, a uniform number or an average for that block or an average for the community. For the purposes of keeping this simple, I would be fine with shortest.
But
I'm
from an
1/3.
equitable standpoint, if we were, from an equitable standpoint, there is a total of almost 200 feet of footage here, or frontage, and we're only going to do 25 where the, neighbors, I mean, we're all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, going to 40 feet would be a pretty good discount anyway. So
Yeah. I think that's in my mind, the most fair and equitable thing to do is 40 feet would be the minimum that we could go. I think that's majority of the minimum distance of everybody's house in Shorewood, that doesn't live on a corner is between 40 and 44 feet from what I've looked into. So I would definitely propose that
So then what happens when we have a property whose shortest side is more than 40 feet? You know what I mean?
we've
It's-
already seen it, I think. I mean, it's already, I
Okay.
think we've already approved one like that. So
Okay.
I'm open to what the board has, an appetite for here. I just wanted to recommend that, this property is it's a large property, it's 149 feet, on one side and 25 on the other side. So, I think 40 feet is probably a good compromise in my.
I don't have access to all of that because the neighbor planted bushes. So I get to pay for him planting. It's not the guy that's living there now.
I would recommend that you can reach out to either myself or the village manager, and we'll direct you to the planning department and the inspector, and we'll get on top of that right away, because that's not fair to you if that is the case. So that's something that we can handle here
Yeah, and
internally.
we've been living there a long time. We never knew.
But right now, we're talking about charging you, instead of 149 feet, regardless of where that property line is, down to 40 feet, which is going to be equitable to all of your neighbors. That's what we're trying to get to right now. We're not trying to burn your bippy, okay?
Okay, I can sit now.
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
thank you so much, though, for your time. We really appreciate it. So
Make a motion then?
Yeah, go ahead.
I move to direct the finance department to amend the streetlight charge for the property at 1555 East Olive Street to use the 40-foot side to calculate the charge.
just,
it's
just
not
to note, there's not a 40-foot side, but
Okay, then on the, I guess that would be the
you could say,
north side.
uh,
It's
I
not
could
on the
offer a
street.
friendly amendment. If you.
yeah,
we
how
can-
would
We
you?
can direct the finance department to assess that property using 40
40 foot.
feet
Yep.
as the measurement for their assessment for street lighting.
Rebecca, is that, got that? Second,
Okay.
that's all, that's clear to you, to both of you?
I have trustee McGovern moved to direct the finance department to amend the streetlight operations special charge for 1555 each olive based upon 40 linear feet.
Great. I seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that motion passes. Do you know, what's your address? 2119?
24.
You're second up. So we've got one, and then you're going to be up next. All right. Thank you. So next we have corner lot 1603 and 1605 East Glendale. Is that owner here in attendance or online? 1603 and 1605 East Glendale.
I have a motion.
All right.
I move to direct the finance department to use the shorter of the two distances, which is Morris Boulevard, for determining the special assessment for street lighting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is corner lot 2419 East Marion Street. Is the owner of that property in attendance? Please state your name and your address, please.
Esther Berkowitz, 2419 East Main.
Thank you.
I'm going to quickly request the exact same treatment as everybody else. We live on a corner lot. We've got a long side and a short side. The short side is on North Stowell. Please could we be assessed on the short side?
Would you
I
like to
move-
make a motion?
I move to direct the finance department to use the shorter of the two sides, being Stoll Avenue, for the purposes of determining the assessment for streetlights.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Good luck in your new job.
Thank you very much. I would just like to ask, I mean, I think if you read the room, everybody who came here many of us were directed that this was actually a meeting to discuss the process by which this charge was being determined. So there's been some miscommunication in the messaging about the purpose of this meeting.
Yep.
But also, I mean, everybody here's been waiting for the best part of an hour and bar one person, like nobody's spoken yet. I don't know how long you're anticipating it, but this is the middle of people's workday. There are
Mhm.
people on hourly, you know, whose income is being negatively affected just by sitting here listening to other people plead their cases. So I just want to plead the case to just really move things along and let people speak. And it just doesn't seem fair amount of and the number of people meeting. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is corner lot 2535 East Lake Bluff Boulevard. Is that owner present?
I'm
or
on
on-
I'm on the call. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
If you
I'm
could say your name and your address, that would be great.
Taylor Hughes, 2535 East Lake Bluff. The cross street is Lake Drive. I just have a couple of extra points to make. One is that Milwaukee has a street lighting charge, and that they encode that for residential properties on corners, they use the shorter side. It seems like it separates residential properties from commercial properties. So, you know, something to look into when we do get a chance to think about the process for next year, hopefully. It seems like they did that legally. So sort of separating the classes of residential and commercial properties and then having maybe different rules for them is potentially okay. The other point I just want to make quickly is that I think, like, when you're thinking about applying it equitably, like, there's a lot of corner lots that have weird numbering, and there's, like, just like one of the trustees said, there's only a few that have misshapen lots. So I think going with like a simpler, you know, much more equitable solution with a couple of exceptions, as opposed to, you know, 23 people showing up today with corner lots with oddly numbered addresses. Maybe that's an okay way to go without having to necessarily put like a foot minimum and all that stuff into the equation too. So that's it. Otherwise, my request is the same as everybody else, which is to use the shorter side, which matches my neighbors much more closely.
Thank you.
I'll move to direct the finance department to use the shorter side, which is Lake Drive, for property 2535 East Lake Bluff Boulevard for the purposes of assessment for street lighting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is corner lot 2729 East Capitol Drive. Is that owner present in person or online? Again, that's corner lot 2729 East Capitol Drive. In this particular instance, the charge is 119 feet of frontage at $530.74. Shortest distance is 105 feet at $468.30. This is on Capitol Drive. I'm not quite sure the.
Harcourt.
Okay, great.
I've looked them all up already.
Fantastic. Thank you, trustee Kudo. Would you like to make the motion?
I would love to. I would like to direct the finance department to use the shorter of the two distances for property 2729 East Capitol Drive, utilizing Harcourt Place for the purposes of charging for streetlights.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is corner lot 4100 North Downer Avenue. Is that owner present in person or online?
I'm present. My name is Elise Vanderloop, 4100 North Downer Avenue.
Thank you very much, Elise.
I just, same as everybody else, just want to have things assessed by the shortest distance consistently across Shorewood, but I appreciate the time to consider my property right now. So that's
Great,
all.
thank you. Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to direct the finance department to utilize the shorter shorter street distance for property. I've done this like 8 times. So you think I would know this by now? I'd make a motion to direct the finance department to utilize the shorter of the two distances for property 4100 North Downer Avenue, which is Jarvis, for the purposes of assessment for streetlight fees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Appreciate your
Thank you.
time. You're doing a great job, trustee.
I'll tighten that up.
This
Sorry.
this is fantastic. You're doing great. I really appreciate you. All right, next on the agenda is corner lot 4138 North Downer Avenue. Welcome. Please just state your name and reaffirm your address.
Laura Cole, 4138 North Down. And the same situation as alongside.
Yeah.
side. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
I would like to make a motion to direct the finance department to utilize the shorter of the two streets, which would be Wood for property 4138 North Downer Avenue for assessment of street lighting fees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you for your time. Next on the agenda is corner lot 4200 North Morris. Welcome. State your name and your address, please.
Name is Barney Moore and my address is 4200 North Morris Boulevard. Can you pull it up on the plot there?
You've got an odd-shaped property, sir.
Yes, I do. And the thing that really sort of bothers me the most is that on my entire property line, I don't even have a street lamp. There's not even a pole on my entire property line and I'm paying $624.
Yep.
So that is just seems a little off base to me. Just, you know,
I
I'm
feel
not
you.
benefiting at all.
I'm in the
from
same
street
boat.
lamps.
Makes you feel any better. There's no
I'm
light
on
in
the
front
same,
of
I'm
my
on
street.
Morris. I'm your neighbor. I don't
Yeah.
have one on my street either. So
I'd like to trade because I have one and it's really bright.
the
So,
new one.
yeah, I would just like the same consideration, as you can tell. I mean, it's pretty, I don't know, that's a lot.
Once all the streetlights are on, it'll feel like you have one in front of your house. So,
We'll fix that at a later date,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
for right, unless you have something else, sir, I'm
Nope,
happy to
that's
make a
it.
motion. For right now, I would like to move to direct the finance department to utilize the shorter of the two streets for property 4200 North Morris Boulevard, which is Olive, for the purposes of assessment for streetlight fees.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you for your time. Next on the agenda is corner lot 4203 North Morris Boulevard, keeping it in the neighborhood. Welcome to the stage. Your name and your address, please.
I'm Kenneth Bruce, 4203 North Morris Boulevard in Shore. Barney's neighbor. And same situation, we have a wedge-shaped lot. Ours is smaller at the end. So I think, okay with either the shortest side or the 40-foot.
I think, you know, what I'm going to recommend is
Yeah.
you're the other one like that. So it'd be the 40-foot just to stay
I'm fine.
consistent.
I'm
Okay.
fine with it.
I'd like to
Fantastic.
Move
al-
go ahead,
And
sorry.
also, I would just mention that we also don't have a street light on our.
Where are the streetlights on Morris, by the way? Geez, you'd think.
I grew up there. They seem to be everywhere when I was growing up. I would like to move to direct the finance department to utilize 40 feet as the measurement for the assessment of streetlight fees for property at 4203 North Morris Boulevard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you for your time. Next on the agenda is corner lot 4361 North Morris Boulevard.
Whoever put in Olive and Morris, monsters.
I'm Carrie Herker. I live at 4361 North Morris Boulevard. From my understanding, my lot used to be a park. My house was built in 1948. And so it's on really going down it's like going down south. The next property over has 46 feet in the front, and then the next 13 properties on the block are 40. On the other side of the block, first house is 28 feet frontage, and then the next 13 houses are 40. We have, I think, the smallest house on our block, 1,300. But I bought that kind of a small house on purpose. I'm a single parent, kids in school. Stretched, but I love my house, and it has lots of shoveling and it has lots of trees. Gorgeous. But you know, everybody else on the block, the average, so there's 26 properties at an average of 39.78 square feet. And mine is 87.
Thank you. Trustees, do you have thoughts on this particular property? Just a little different than what we've sort of, been working with so far.
I mean, in my mind, it's just we're just flipping, right? I mean, it's a oddly shaped property with, I mean, the footprint of the property is not I mean, I've driven past this a million times. The footprint of the property is not gigantic. It just happens to be on a funky street corner.
Yeah.
So I'm comfortable going to 40 feet to try to make it as uniform as possible for the rest of the block. I mean, it's not like a ton of the property is usable, it's lined with trees. I mean, it's just one of those weird ones. So I'm happy to go to 40 feet. I'm happy to make a motion, but I'm also
Justin
happy to-
McGovern, do you have thoughts?
I think 40 is in this case, just because of the unique shape of the lot, I think that's fine.
I'd like to move to direct the finance department to use 40 feet as for the assessment of fees for streetlights at property 4361 North Morris Boulevard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. I'm moving along. We have corner lot 4376 North Alpine. That's you. That's all right. We got time.
We're literally not going anywhere, so take your time.
Or we can bring the microphone to you.
Years ago, they said I'd get box. So anyway, I'm blessed.
Thanks for being here.
My name is Mary Jo Hakoda, and I reside in 4378 North Alpine. The other half is 4376 North Alpine, and that is my brother lives on that side. It's a side-by-side townhouse. It was built in 1948, and I have lived there since 1973.
Wow.
Before the house was built, that area was a dump, garbage dump. And it was built, and my lot is shaped like a pie. And according to Attorney Baer, he said that he gave a scenario and said there would not be a property quite like the one he described. Guess what?
Guess what?
I got it. So this is the one that's not supposed to be. The back and the front are the same. My dining room is 8 feet away from the sidewalk on Ardmore. That's the back of my house. The front is Alpine. There's a turnaround and there's a little park down there. At on the very top, that's my backyard. It's not very private. And then there's a little park past there. Across the street from me on Alpine Avenue is the secret sidewalk. So I'm also providing
Yeah.
light for that. Forgive me, but I can't understand. This is a village of 1 square mile. I can't imagine why you can't. I'm not using more electricity than you or you or you. The dwellings and the residences should be divided equally across the board and pay just a share. Because the next thing what's going to happen, a scenario that should not happen, or let's hope it'll never happen, is have toll booths along the village property line. And then we're going to go and have toll booths. So people who come into Shorewood will have to pay towards the electricity.
Not a bad idea.
This is just the way things are going.
Yeah,
So
I know.
it doesn't make sense.
I know. I hear you.
Wait.
So can I ask if we were to look at if we were to look at sort of, are we looking north? North is up here.
Yeah, north is the
So if we,
That's the north.
so if we took from that, we're like, one side to the next, and we just went straight across, right? So let's say we cut out that big round dippy thing and we,
That's my backyard.
that, yeah, okay, well, yeah. So
It didn't come out the way he wanted.
so
it
if
to.
we
Trust-
go, if we go from one street sort of line, one sidewalk to the next sidewalk, I'd love to know what that distance is. Is there a way of sort of finding that distance? Because that's what I would be,
From here.
that's what I'd be interested in charge. Yeah.
Back road.
If you went up a little bit, Rebecca, so you're going back and forth. Yeah. So like right where that shadow is, if you went from there to there, that's what I think I'd be interested in looking at and seeing what.
It's 50 feet is approximately,
Not in a lot.
no, I got you. Hold on.
Okay. Whatever it would be, it's.
This is the only way that house could have been designed. Otherwise, it would have been wasted
Yeah.
X money.
I'm
Yeah.
using my Shorewood education to copy and paste here.
Oh, this is great.
It's approximately 50 feet.
Okay.
So if you're looking at basically the northern portion of the main building, that little rectangle on the right side, if you push out just a little bit past that, it's roughly 50 feet.
Okay. I'd be, I'd be comfortable with that, wherever the number that ends up being. I'm comfortable with, but if we need exact numbers, then we'll need to look at a GSI map. If we're comfortable with Eric drawing it out on a piece of paper and measuring it on his computer, I can be comfortable with that as well.
You could just direct finance department to calculate it based on the
Distance
right
between
distance
streets.
between those 2 points.
That's fine. I just want to make sure it doesn't,
Right
like,
here.
does not go too high, too low. So,
Right along the shadow line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Right along that shadow line.
I got roughly 50 feet, but
So either you can say 50 feet, or else we can just kind of have GIS, just our department map it out and direct them to map out that particular.
we've done,
All of the distances here, for the shortest distance are approximate, so they'll all be recalculated.
Got it.
Based upon actual, so
Okay.
we'll note, I've noted that location, so we can
Okay.
calculate it,
Okay.
along the. that line.
so I would like to make a motion to direct the finance department to utilize the distance as described during the committee meeting for the purposes of determining the streetlight fees for property 4376 North Alpine.
Second.
All in favor?
Technically, it's 4376/4378.
/ 4378 North Alpine. But I will say, if when the assessment comes back and it's much, much higher and there's been an error, let us know,
When you're talking about the assessment for the streetlight.
especially for the streetlight.
Okay.
So if for some reason it comes back at 150 feet, that's not the intention of my motion. So
Right now, you're being charged for 113 feet. We are talking about bringing that down more than half, so to about 50 feet. So you'll see that bill go down.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I do have a quick question.
Yes.
With all this light business going on,
Mhm.
what, like, for instance, who's paying for the secret sidewalk across the street from me?
When it's
Who
a
is paying-
secret, nobody knows. I mean, I don't,
Is paying, I don't live on an alley.
yeah,
Who's paying the alley streetlights?
yeah, that's a,
Now, because like I said, mine's in odd shape. And that's my backyard.
yeah,
Well, I have no privacy. It's not a backyard.
yeah.
It's a yard that the village can go and plow my fence down and then I have to get it repaired all the time. There's always something. But no, I'm just really curious because you've got those lights in the alley and that is just like a street light. And then you have dead areas, like north of my property is that little tiny park.
Yeah.
And then across the street, there's another little tiny.
So, I mean, what I would say is I would love to get these answers for you right now.
Yeah.
We have, because of the nature of this meeting, we have to stay within a very specific scope of what we can
Yeah, you
talk
have to
about.
Streamline everything. I
Yeah,
understand.
well, it's not necessarily
It's just
streamlining,
legal.
there's just
We
a
have
s-
to
there's a
focus
scope
on.
that we have to focus on, otherwise we fall outside of what we told the community we would talk about.
All right.
So happy to answer, if you have individual questions, I can stay after for a minute, get your information, happy to get you answers on all that. But for the purposes of this meeting, we can't go too far afield.
I'll let you go. I thank you for your time.
Thank
and
you.
Your energy. And forgive me, Rebecca, but I had to use you sometimes as for batting practice.
She's
I
used to it.
understand.
You know, this has been a good week. I got overcharged at Pick and Save for $13. I got reimbursed for that. Yesterday, it took 3 months for me to go to get a refund from AT&T in July. We were without AT&T in the village of Shorewood. And it took me, and I got $55 rebate on that. Now I'm getting it. Boy, I've
Things are looking good. Things are looking good.
Lottery ticket in your future.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Eric. and
Yep.
everyone else.
Although you can message any of us, we will all be responsive.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have another corner lot, 4401 North Wildwood Avenue and 1120 East Congress Street. Welcome to the stage. Please state your name.
Hi, I'm Roseanne O'Connor. I live at 4401 North Wildwood. I'm also here representing Nancy, my neighbor at 1120 East Congress. We share one building, 2 condos that share the same building. We also share the same utility bill. Is that right?
No,
You're making a,
no, I'm looking at, I mean, you got a unique situation going on
yes.
here.
Yeah, so we share the same utility bill from the village. And we share all the costs related to outside, all the maintenance related to outside. So maintaining the yard and the, whatever is considered outside. So, so we're asking to be, and we're being charged for both sides of the lot. So we're asking to be considered to be charged for one side rather than 2 sides.
I'm trying to orientate myself here. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to orientate myself. And I know where we are now.
Yeah.
We share the same garage, the same driveway.
Sure.
Yeah.
Trustee Kudo, do you have another motion here?
I mean, I'm going to go with shortest distance. I see no reason to. So I'm going to move to direct the finance department to utilize the shorter of the 2 distances at property 4401 and property 1120 East Congress, which I believe is the Congress side, for the purposes of determining.
I mean, okay.
There's just,
if you make the motion, I just have a comment to make.
Yeah, no, go ahead. For the purposes of determining streetlight fees, this is
There's, I mean, in a way, I can see using 2 of the shortest sides. I mean, you've got 2 units, 2 people living here. This is a really unique spot, and there's 2 separate people living here, and you're sharing this bill. I personally could see using the 2 shortest sides on the sides as the fee here instead of 1 short fee for both everybody. That would be my thoughts on this. I know it's a little,
Is it one side and alley side?
Yes. And the shortest side is Wildwood.
Yeah, so it's on that corner of Wild.
Yeah.
It's on that corner, but one side is the alley that goes dead end, south end, or the north end of Wildwood.
Hold on the left.
Yeah, the left side is the alley, the right side would be the street. And what I'm saying is we can use.
the street. I was just saying that I think the shortest side might be slightly inequitable because there's 2 people, like 2 units on one giant property. So I'm open to it. I just want to throw out the ideas like there's something else creative we can do because there are multiple people living here. There's multiple dwellings on this property.
There are multiple dwellings, but
So essentially each of them, if they split it, are paying for you know, technically
Yeah,
25
but I
feet.
mean, it's no different than if you apartment building, tenants
Mm-hmm.
split the cost, but cost is based on linear, you know what I mean?
Sure.
The
That's
property owner.
the problem.
tenants.
I mean, there's a
Trust me,
couple,
the tenants are gonna pay.
there's a
Well, I
couple
mean,
other
they have-
properties like
They have
this.
a long-term lease.
They'll figure it out.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do apartment properties on corners pay both sides?
No, apartments would based off.
Address side, yeah. And you have two, I would assume you have two addresses here, so
Yes.
that's why you're
Yeah.
getting billed the two addresses.
Wildwood is the shorter of the two
Right.
by. I'm comfortable with Wildwood.
Okay. I can,
I mean, but then would each address still get, still get a bill since they're different addresses? My
We
question.
share the same utility bill. So we pay the same water bill.
I see.
how does that work?
So which property actually holds the utility?
Well, it just went to Nancy. When I just moved about a year ago
Okay.
to the property and it was always going to Nancy and I accidentally switched it to myself and now it's Nancy's again. But we just split it. We put money into a pool like a HOA fee and we
Yeah.
split the bill.
And are you the Congress property or the Wildwood?
Wildwood.
And you're not the owner, she's the owner? Or is somebody else the owner?
The condo.
It's a condo.
Yeah.
I lived in a condo like this on Wood and we each had, it was just separate because it's separate addresses. It was, separate water bill, separate everything.
I don't
So,
know why it's not separate, but
Yeah, it's.
There's a condo. There's
Yeah.
technically a condo agreement between two people. Homeowners Association
Yeah.
agreement if 50 or happens.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
like if one side of the condo doesn't pay their light bill, it would go on the tax rolls of that condo.
Yeah, we don't get into the agreement.
Yes.
That's it as for the listed tax rule. Up to
I mean, what I would say is it's one dwelling. I mean, yes, it's broken up into two, but in my opinion, it should fall under standards of them. But which would be the 50 feet that is.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we've been doing it today, so.
Yeah.
Seems like maybe that's the most.
Okay.
fair.
I think that's the most. But I'm happy to remake them.
I think that
Order of the two. Wild. Correct?
Can be a little weird. No, it'd be
Per address for item P is 4401. Should be utilizing Wild. 1200 Congress. Which is Q. There's a second appeal for her neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
So for the purposes of the day.
and you guys are just the renters. Somebody else, well, no, you're condo, so okay, you won't. Got it.
I'm just looking down the list to see where the appeal for Congress is.
It's on the same, it's lumped together.
It's on the same slide, but it's listed separately. They both have files.
Um,
So it goes P and then Q. 1200.
And if they're assessed separately for the purposes of the fee, and they're two separate addresses for the purposes of the fee, then it would be 2 50-foot assessments.
there's only one.
Mhm.
Goes on.
But it doesn't go by the address for the purposes of appeal. It goes by utility bill for the purposes of appeal.
No, both property owners appealed.
So it's just a joint appeal. Okay. I'm comfortable with my motion. 50 feet. Or whatever it is, utilize wild.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is 4500 and 4502 North Wildwood Avenue. Is the owner of that property online, in person?
Roseanne was representing both properties.
Oh. That was gotcha. Okay.
No, it's a block. This is a block north.
Oh, wait.
This is different. This is the
Yeah.
35 footer. So I think,
This is one block north on Kensington, not on Congress.
yeah, it's a different property. So just restate again, 4500 to 4502 North Wildwood Avenue. The owner is online. Please unmute yourself. The information with this particular property are they're being charged for 120 feet of frontage at $535.20. Alternatively, the shorter end, the shorter frontage could be 35 feet at $156.10. I would recommend that we use a 40-foot distance for this particular unit as well. Motion man, would you like to motion this one up?
I'd like to move to direct the finance department to utilize 40 feet when determining the streetlight charge for property 4500, 4502 North Wildwood Avenue.
Second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Next on the agenda is corner lot 4075 North Downer Avenue. Is that property owner online or in person? Again, we are looking into corner lot 4075 North Downer Avenue. Information here is the charge is at 80 feet, $356.80. The other alternative frontage is 120 feet at $535.20. I mean, this is a big property. I can't get down. I can't see myself
I'm
going
with you.
to, I think this one just stays as is.
I mean, is this a mistake or are they asking to go higher or they just maybe
I
didn't
think
know?
this is the other alternative that we're presenting.
Okay.
Okay, so I would move to deny
amend.
the appeal.
Oh yeah, deny the, yeah.
Property 4075 North Downer Avenue.
Yep. All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Next on the agenda, we have corner lot 4600 North Newhall Street and 1600 East Glendale Avenue. Please state your name and your addresses.
The address is Jacob DeVita here. We're talking about 4600 North Newhall. I sent a long email, Ms. Ewald. We won't have to go over that, but I think first and foremost, if we're specifically discussing errors, sometime in 2015, someone in the village changed my utility address to a combination of both my addresses, which is a non-existent address. I'd asked them to fix it, and then they moved it to the other side, while my utility bill maintains the original side, which I purchased at 4600 North Newhall, which would then be the shorter side of the unit or my property. There's a larger concern here, obviously, over the equitable nature of this charge in general and the fiscal behavior of the spending here. I understand we're pigeonholed right now into just the appeal. I do have larger concerns in general, but specific to this meeting, I won't go too off track, but I would ask that we consider the shorter side of my unit just for the purpose of this meeting, while I still have larger concerns in general for the spending in the project.
Trustee Kudo, would you like to make a motion, or Trustee McGovern?
Sure. Move to direct the finance department to utilize 4600 North Newhall Street for the purposes of assessment of streetlight fees moving forward.
Thank you. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you for your time. Corner lot. Next on the agenda is corner lot 1018 and 1020 East Congress Street. If the owner is here or online, please step forward. Again, that's 1018 and 1020 East Congress Street. Current charge is at 125 feet at $557.50. And the alternative, the shortest side is 50 feet at $223. Is there a motion?
Move to direct the finance department to utilize the Marlboro side of the street, or side of the unit, for the purposes of determining fees for streetlights.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is a corner lot, 4450 and 4452 North Wildwood Street. Is that owner present or online? 4450 and 4452 North Wildwood Street. They're currently being charged at 120 feet at $535.20. Their shortest distance is 50 feet at $223. Do I have a motion?
I move to direct the finance department to utilize the Kensington side of this property at roughly 50 feet for the purposes of assessing streetlight fees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, this is the most interesting property that I think we're going to have here on today's agenda, and that is a curved lot. That's 3536 North Shepherd Avenue. Is the owner present online or in person?
Yes, I'm online.
Fantastic. Welcome to the appeals. If you could state your name and reaffirm your address.
Kevin Casper, 3536 North Shepherd.
All right. And do you have any sort of information, or would you like to talk about your lot at all?
Yeah, I don't have a backyard, so based on how Shepherd and some of these other streets curve, I just have a unique, like it was mentioned by the lawyer, pie-shaped lot, and the people across the street all have 65 feet of frontage. The three houses that are directly across from me, and I guess that'd be the motion I'd prefer to have happen. Like I said, I don't have a backyard. I also have a 1.5-story home. It's not as big as the other houses here on my block, yet I'm paying 3 times as much.
Thank you. Trustees, do you have any thoughts on this particular lot?
It's 65 feet. Can we pull up the addresses across the street to confirm?
The 3533 is one, 3530. I have 30 something. Looking at it.
Thank you, Mr. Casper. This is a trust but verify situation. Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Those amounts are correct before I make a motion.
3539 would be directly across the street from my front door.
Just bear with us. We're going to get up the GSI map and take a look at some of the properties in the area. Am I right with that?
Yep.
And then while you're waiting, my email's on there. Want to email about? Feel free to anytime, or any of us.
Email Arthur.
Except for Trustee Land. He's on my business card, and he's
Oh, he's not, yeah.
no longer with us, so don't email him.
Or if you do, don't expect a response.
Or some very candid
Across
response.
the street, for the four properties directly west are 65 feet.
Okay. Verified.
I think we have our answer.
I'd like to make a motion to direct the finance department to use 65 feet for the assessment of streetlight fees for property 3536 North Shepherd Avenue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
I just, since I've been on the call for an hour and 35 minutes and I'm not super impressed with the process, I'd just like to say, one thing I would encourage is for you guys to be the experts of Shorewood and not defer to Milwaukee for their processes. Their community is about 30 times larger than ours, and we can kind of figure out what needs to happen here. You're holding a bunch of money from people. I'm in a more fortunate position than most, but a bunch of people who may not be able to have their money held. And I also agree with the woman from Glendale Street in the beginning of the call, who is a real estate agent who has made, her statement, I think, was very clear about younger families and whatnot in our village. So I defer for you guys to be the experts of Shorewood and not use Milwaukee. They can't even educate their children.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Jesus. Okay. Next on the agenda, opposed to 2025, or this is the address, 2025. Wait, sorry. I apologize. 3562 North Lake Drive, opposed to 2025 charge. Sir?
Yes, Luke Sims, 3562 North Lake Drive. My comment is more of a generalized comment directed to the village board as opposed to my particular situation. Obviously, as you know, Lake Drive has been under construction for all this year. This charge is supposedly for the benefit of the property owner having lights. Some lights work, some don't. Not only not street lights, we don't have a street. So it seems to me inappropriate to be charging this year for that. I have no problem conceptually with the street light charge. It's just that I think the village board ought to make some accommodation to the Lake Drive owners, given the situation. I think the street light charge showed up in first quarter of this year. The entire time period, Lake Drive has been totally ripped up and destroyed. I'm really not, if the issue is, I'm not looking to get an adjustment on my part. I think that I'm more interested in the village board dealing with the situation. Someone else also mentioned, and I think it makes sense, that it's fine to make special exceptions, but really the village board ought to adopt the more general change that you've agreed to. That is that the shorter side of a property of a corner lot with a minimum of 40 feet makes sense from a global perspective, because otherwise you're going to end up with a lot of people who say, well, my neighbor got it reduced. Now I have to go through the whole process of doing that.
Thank you.
That's my.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time and waiting to the end. Trustees, I think what's before us is what's being suggested is we take a look at Lake Drive as a whole, and it being in sort of a repair mode. At the same time, nobody in the community has had these streetlights yet, right? Like, I think they're just coming online right now.
I don't have the streetlights.
I don't have streetlights yet either. But from what I understand, the streetlights on Lake Drive, they're actually they'll potentially be operational this year. Am I right, Becca? Yeah. So it sounds like this fall coming up here, we're identifying Lake Drive to have the streetlights, the new streetlights, to be operational, and that will be before many of the communities in Shorewood. So if there's anything to that, you will have streetlights. Yeah, I'm not a betting man, but I have. If it's anything, if it means anything to you, I've seen them put the streetlights up, and it seems to be an extremely fast process. Now, I can't talk about WISDOT and them rebuilding the street. I can talk about the streetlights, and it seems to me it goes pretty fast. So fingers crossed for you that you get your streetlights this year, and it'll be a Christmas miracle. With that said, I think do you have any comments or thoughts or questions on this particular item?
I mean, there are numerous streets under construction. Downer Avenue was under construction. Wilson was under construction. Oakland Avenue will be under construction, and there will be a loss of streetlights. I mean, construction is an unfortunate part of living in this state. I'm inclined to the request. We live in a community that has streetlights. We're all paying the streetlights together, whether you have them, that particular day or not, I don't find it necessarily be germane to be. And so I'm not inclined to accept the appeal just for 20.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. It's a system that, we're putting in new streetlights throughout the village, and there's people who are doing the work got to be paid and bills and all that. So it's, even though the charge is, has to have a relationship to each property, I think it's kind of not practical.
I'll move to deny the opposition of the special assessment for streetlight fees at 3562 North Lake Drive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. I know it's not what you're hoping for, but your voice was heard. Yeah. Understood. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, though. Thank you for your time and your words. With that, that is, we got one more, one last one.
That appeal drop.
Oh,
Appeal
that
dropped
was
off.
the, okay.
So that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned at 2:47.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for staying, and appreciate everybody that's online. Thank you so much. I don't know if anybody's online anymore, but good job, guys. Thank you for making all those motions.
Thank you.